Warm greetings from the High 10. It is Everyday Shenanigans, and thanks for joining me. Most of you may not know that Bayan Wang, who was reporting for ABC 23 News in California, has now migrated to Denver, Colorado, Denver 7 News. So if you did not know that, now you do. He will still be covering the case of the missing California City boys, and I want to bring you commentary pertaining to the update. It's not much of an update, but it's just bringing you a little bit of information pertaining to Court TV. If you need verification for this information, you can log on to Bayan Wang's Facebook page, Bayan Wang 23 ABC News, and he's also, as I state, covering news now in Denver, Colorado for News 7. And I want to bring you the said commentary pertaining to the missing boys out of California City. As I state, this is not a major update. This is just to let you know that Mr. Wang has migrated to Denver 7 News, and that he has also spoken with Court TV, Mr. Politan. And if you need to continue to follow this story out of California pertaining to the missing boys, please go to Court TV.
We've been following for some time here on closing arguments involving two little boys who had an incredibly difficult life. They had to be put up for adoption for whatever happened with their biological family. They were adopted by a couple. There were 4 other children in the family, and of the 6 children, just these 2, the 2 youngest, these 2 toddlers, Orrin and Orson West, disappeared, reported missing in December. Not seen or heard from since. Our affiliate, KERO, has the story.
The Cal City community is still distraught over the 2 missing boys. There is now a new addition to the neighborhood. This is a small memorial, leaving candles and toys, hoping the toddlers come home safely.
We'll have to get together as a community and just try to help find these children ourselves and do the best we can.
With guns drawn, authorities enter the California City home of Trezell and Jacqueline West, the adoptive parents of 3-year-old Orson West and 4-year-old Orrin West. The parents told authorities their 2 boys disappeared from their backyard on December 21st and believe someone kidnapped them.
They do not just roam around, these patches. They definitely would have been picked up or something.
We have no way of knowing how they got out of the yard. Nothing that shows how they got out of the yard and if they wandered out of the yard.
California City Police Chief John Walker believes this is now more than just a missing persons case. He believes foul play was involved.
Someone knows, and I would hope that person would come forward.
And that's why Walker says authorities have paid so much attention on the couple's home, even digging up the backyard.
We're just trying to dig up anything, any clues that we can possibly find to find out where they had gone, and also to confirm that they're not in the backyard. Noise like jackhammering or roto hammering, like they were trying to dig through dirt or break concrete.
The adoptive parents gave their account of what happened, claiming that the 2 boys went outside to play with chalk while their adoptive mother wrapped their Christmas presents. Their adoptive father said that he left the gate open. When he realized the boys were gone, he began searching for them. The adoptive parents declined an interview today, saying police advised them to stay inside, leaving some to wonder why.
I would be nonstop looking if it was my child. He wouldn't even keep me inside.
200 volunteers who dedicated around 4 hours looking for any clues that could lead to the West boys' whereabouts. Some volunteers shared with 23ABC that they walked nearly 5 miles canvassing the area. Amongst the group were the boys' biological mother.
If they find my kids, can they just give them back to me? Whatever I have to do to work on it to get them. I have a home, I have a car, I have a job, I have money. It's nothing to provide for them. I come from a good background, as you can see, and I don't understand. I just want my babies. If they find them, just give them back to me, please. That's all I want.
Throughout the search, you could occasionally hear groups shouting and waving to law enforcement if they found something of interest. And if it turned out to be an item of possible significance, it was then taken in for analyzation. But there was one item they found that stood out.
Basically what we found was a piece of, or a gift bag with the name of one of the children on it. But being in such close proximity to the house, that's not super unusual. But it's something we definitely want to take a look at.
Although the boys have yet to be located and no arrests have been made or suspects named, this community says they will ensure the boys won't be overlooked.
From every neighbor you guys spoke to, not a single sight of them.
No. No.
When was the most recent that a neighbor cited they'd seen the kids?
None of the neighbors have seen the kids.
Ever?
Despite search efforts that haven't turned up anything, neighbors are still trying to think positive during a dark time in this small community.
Hopefully, they'll find the children alive.
All right, folks, here's the number, 760-373-8606. 760-373-8606. That's the Cal City Police Department. If you have any information, no matter how insignificant you might think it is, please make that call tonight. Now, this story doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a lot of questions, not a ton of answers right now. But we've got a special guest joining us tonight in Denver, Colorado. He's the anchor and reporter for our affiliate, KMGH. Bayan Wang is with us. Worked this story when he was working in Bakersfield, still working the story tonight for us. Bayan, let's start here for folks. What's the latest that we've heard here? And my understanding is Bakersfield is taking the lead in this investigation, not Cal City, where they allegedly disappeared from. What are you hearing out there?
Yeah, hey, Vinny, good evening. Actually, the lead investigator role shifted back in March when Cal City and BPD basically got together and spoke with all the other agencies involved, the FBI, the Kern County Sheriff's Office, and they said that the evidence essentially led authorities to believe that the focus of the investigation needs to be in Bakersfield. And just for context, that's where the previous residences of this family was. And the Bakersfield Police Department actually released some data just recently, earlier this month. They actually stated that they have executed 44 search warrants, which have been conducted on residences and electronic devices. From those search warrants, they were able to seize 170 items. 83 different people have been interviewed so far. There has been 16 mass area searches, so a search not just on the community level, but of fields of the sprawling desert in California City. And we understand that 3 of those searches have been conducted outside the state of California. Still, so many tips coming in, and you said it at the top of the hour perfectly, a lot more questions than there are answers right now. So this one's kind of up in the air, and it's really weighing in on the community right now.
I want to play for everyone Trezell West, who is the father, the adoptive father of the children. But that's, once you adopt a child, you are the father. As he describes when these boys went missing. Let's take a listen.
They came missing right before it got dark. And then I searched that property. I even drove around this neighborhood right here. I even talked to a gentleman on that side, on those streets over there. I said, did you see some little black kids?
Did you go that way?
That's the extra I was going to come. But when I came back home, I decided to call the cops because it was dark. They couldn't have got away that fast.
And why did it take 2 people to go in the house and leave 2 kids out here by themselves? It should have been 1 parent going in and 1 parent right here watching the child, not 2 parents going in the house and leaving 2 little kids out here by themselves for 10 minutes.
No, they were in the backyard. And the back gate was open.
Out the backyard?
And the back gate was open, and I was getting wood from this lot here.
All right. So can you explain to us what the father is saying is his version of what happened here? The kids are in the backyard, the gate is open, and he's getting firewood from somewhere. Can you kind of give us some perspective on where all these different locations are as he describes the time when the children went missing?
Yeah, the home's actually located on a pretty good-sized lot. So essentially, as you were kind of saying, he was gathering wood because this was in December. It was a bit chilly out there in the desert. The kids were outside playing with chalk on the patio. According to the adoptive family, he says that his wife, Jacqueline, was inside wrapping Christmas presents. So they obviously didn't want to see, according to them, have the kids see them wrapping the Christmas presents. And then all of a sudden, the kids vanished. The dad went inside the home, came out, noticed they weren't there, And then, as you heard him say in the interview, he looked inside, didn't see them, kind of panicked, went outside of the home into the front yard, didn't see them, got in his car, drove around. According to him, he spoke to a person that happened to be in the area, said, hey, did you see my kids? They said no. He says within a matter of minutes, he called law enforcement. Then the California City Police Department were the lead investigators. So they got a CHP helicopter up in the air, sent dogs coming out, search dogs looking for them. 7 months, almost 7 months later, still not a clue, at least for what we understand from law enforcement.
All right, so as we evaluate the father's story here, there is almost an exact time as to when these children went missing. It's a very small window. There are neighbors there that have surveillance videos, right? I mean, neighborhoods across America, there's surveillance videos everywhere. Here it's very flat. Of those surveillance videos, did anyone produce a surveillance video from that window of time when he said these children went missing, of a car driving up, of someone going into the backyard, of the children walking out? Does any of that exist? Have we heard anything about that from anyone's surveillance video in that neighborhood?
Gosh, Vinny, every single question you're asking me is the same ones that I asked law enforcement. As you said, there has been surveillance footage, and they said, there's not a lot of info they can get into that they're ready to release. Just by me observing and other folks in my newsroom observing the video, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what happened because it's kind of approaching nighttime there. The sun is going down. It's not as bright as daylight. So I would be kind of, remiss as a reporter to speculate on what was shown or not shown on that surveillance video.
Were there any cars? I mean, if it's getting dark and you're driving a car, you're going to have your lights on.
Yeah, I didn't see any happen around that time. So from what I was able to see, I didn't see any car lights or cars approaching or anyone leaving the property around that time frame.
So where does it seem, I mean, if the investigation's in Bakersfield, and we're almost out of time here, the family, the parents, right, they're adoptive parents, but they are the parents. They moved to Cal City from Bakersfield. When they lived in Bakersfield, they did have those two children with them, right? They lived in Bakersfield first before they moved to Cal, Little Orrin and Orson.
Well, according to what law enforcement is saying right now, the official report right now is that those kids were with the adoptive parents, not only in Bakersfield, but in California City as well. And that those kids went missing on December 21st. Now, what the investigation actually produces, once more information is released to the media, might show a complete different story. But Vinny, it's really frustrating to say right now that I don't think we're there yet. I don't think law enforcement is there yet. And last time I spoke to BPD, they really sounded, at least from what the PIO was telling me, that they wanted to release more information, but they never dealt with a missing persons case of this high profile, and they obviously don't want to release info that's going to jeopardize their investigation. So last I heard from Sergeant Robert Pear of BPD, he said that they're trying to look at the Kristen Smart case of California to see what kind of info the police department released for that case, so they could actually take a blueprint and know the kind of info they could release to the public at this time, so that there isn't that eerie feeling, which there is. I spoke to a lot of Bakersfield residents. I spoke to a lot of California City residents. Those prayer vigils that you and I spoke about last time we were on your show, those prayer gatherings, those community events, well, those are dying down. It's getting a lot more quiet, and the hope's still there, but it's dimming away.
Bayan Wang, KMGH in Denver, thank you so much for joining us tonight, providing all this insight, and we'll speak again. Thank you.
We will. Thanks, Vinny.
All right, folks, when we come back, we're going to take...
Okay, thank you all so much for that. Wanted to let you all hear that. If you need verification for the information that you just heard, you can log on to Facebook at Bayan Wang 23 ABC News. Also, he's currently working for Denver 7 News in Denver, Colorado, and Court TV with Vinny Politan for this said information if you need verification for everything that I just brought to you. Naturally, what you just heard is just a recap of what we have already heard the past several months pertaining to the missing boys. For those of you who have followed the content, you basically know the rundown of the story. It was recapped in this said commentary. on Court TV. 2 children went missing in the backyard of Jacqueline and Trezell West's home. And to this day, many months later, the children have not been seen, heard, verified, alive, or deceased. Many sightings, many different storylines pertaining to the children, but nothing has come to fruition pertaining to the whereabouts of the children. And it's a very sad situation to have children missing and no one has any information that is pertinent, viable, truthful to the whereabouts of these children. Everything is up for interpretation. You're entitled to your opinion of what you think of what happened to the children. Many people bickering back and forth, arguments, ugly things have transpired in the wake of these children going missing, and that is to be expected, I guess, with social media. This story played out on social media, Facebook, the YT, the news, and so forth. And as you see, 2 people from the California area who were covering the story are no longer at their said affiliates now. And as you see, Mr. Bayan Wang is now with Denver 7. So if you want to continue following Mr. Wang, go over to his Facebook page and he will give you updates to what he's covering and the latest news in Denver, Colorado. As I state, the children are still missing. And there's no new news from the FBI, Cal City, or Bakersfield Police Department. And I brought you this information just to let you know that Bayan Wang is no longer in California working at the 23 ABC News, now in Denver. And this was just a recap of information through Court TV, his brief interview with Mr. Politan on Court TV. And just to tell you that I don't have anything new, this is all I could find. This was just uploaded, I think, 2 days ago on Bayan Wang's Facebook page. And that's it. And this is a very baffling story, like so many other stories that we hear about missing children, deceased children, and it shouldn't be a story at all. There shouldn't even be a story about a missing child, children, deceased child, children. Because in the end, all the stories are the same. You have unfit people, creatures rather, rearing children. They procreated, and they did not rear them properly. And that is the reason why they end up in worst case scenarios such as being abused and or deceased. Whether they were raised by the initial creator of the child, passed along from person to person, the children entered foster care, the children end up being adopted by someone, plural. The worst case is death, sadly. And this should never be a story of missing children, children mistreated verbally and or physically, sexually. These should never be stories discussed anywhere. But as you see, they are, because we have cruel people here on this earth, creatures that are birthing, creating, procreating children and not doing right by them. And then the story makes the news, and then it makes it to social media, and all hell breaks loose pertaining to a child, pertaining to people's opinions of what they think happened, their opinions about the people who are raising them, the people that dropped the ball. But nonetheless, it's tragic. And this case is very baffling, because just listening to the female in the audio speaking in the video, you can't naturally explain how the children got out of that yard without being detected, as Politan said. No video surveillance of anyone pulling up, a car pulling up to the yard, the gate, going into the gate, any cars passing by on the street, unfamiliar, nothing. And I am positive in my right mind that Cal City and the FBI did everything they could at that time locating any unknown persons, cars, people by foot, person by foot, going in that neighborhood the night of those children's alleged disappearance. And I think we all know that those children did not go missing in that backyard. I don't feel that they were. Did they ever make it to the house? I don't know. But the one thing I know for sure, the feeling I get, let's say, is that they've been missing a mighty long time. And they were possibly missing before December 21st, 2020. And possibly they never made it to that house. Perhaps they never lived in that house, stayed in that house, slept in that house. Perhaps they went missing in Bakersfield, California, where they originated from. And that's the clincher. How long were they in the possession of Jacqueline and Trezell West? How long did they live with them at that said apartment complex? And when did they get gone? Because even now, with no viable information pertaining to the whereabouts of these children, you still don't have anyone coming forward to say yay or nay pertaining to seeing the children with these people. A last time stamp of a date and time that they saw Jacqueline and Trezell West with the two missing baby boys. And that's the sad part, is that we have no verification on anything, outsiders. But perhaps FBI has something, but naturally, as it was stated in this commentary through Court TV, they can't show their hand. They can't reveal everything. Because then the perpetrator, plural, will know that law enforcement is on to them. And that is to be expected. Prayers for the missing Cal City boys. Prayers for Cash Gurnan's brother, Carter. Prayers for little Carter as well. He's a surviving brother. Luckily, he was not harmed in the fiasco that took place out in Texas. But as you see, these cases mirror one another. It all goes back to the originator. The parents. They did not do a good job with their children. So the children were passed along by the parents and or taken by the state and or passed on to someone else. And each person participated in dropping the ball in the rearing of the children. So in Cal City, you have two missing children that most of us possibly believe that they are deceased. And in the case in Texas, two children were passed along. One was viciously murdered in a street, or discarded in the street, rather. His twin left behind by the grace of God. But in the end, it's the many roads they've traveled to get to their final resting place, which is horrific, to be passed along like you're not worthy of having decent family, parents to take care of you, decent home to be raised in, have a decent life as a child. So many children are like the missing boys of Cal City, Cash and Carter Gurnan. No one cared enough. So we have to pray for Carter now, the surviving twin, that he will get a good life and will be properly taken care of, as to not have another scenario such as his deceased brother, Cash. When I get more information, I will bring you the said commentary. And as I state, Bayan Wang is now working for Denver 7 News. You can go to his Facebook page to get the said commentary of stories he's covering. 23 ABC News still has content pertaining to Bayan Wang and the story of the missing Cal City boys is currently airing on Court TV with Vinny Politan. And Mr. Wang has also been on commentary as of late on YouTube. And all you have to do is go to the said sources and pull up those said videos with the interview with Mr. Bayan Wang. Thank you for your time. Hope you all have a wonderful week. Blessed week. Stay safe. Watch over the little ones. If you see something, say something. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. And by the way, if you want to donate to the channel, $ Big Angie 129 Cash App. Before I check out of here, I would like to say this to some of you. I want to thank you for your support, those who have been loyal from day one when you found me on the YT up until this moment. I want to thank you for your support, the kind words, the nice compliments. I want to thank all of you. I'd just like to say to many of you, nothing personal, but I will not be responding to anything on the IG. That is my personal account, and foolishly, I gave that as a window for some people to contact me for things pertaining to the stories, information. But in the end, I was on that media site a few years ago, 3 years ago, when I got on social media in general, and that was personal. And I'd like to keep it that way. So I will not be responding to any more commentary through IG. So if you have anything you'd like to relay to me, I prefer you leave it on my community post. As most of you know, my comments are turned off. This is my way of doing things, and I'm going to keep it that way. I like the way it's going, and I'd like to keep it that way. Just from things that have happened recently, over the past couple months, and just maybe 2 days ago, this is how it's going to be. If you have any commentary, any links, anything pertinent, put it on the pertinent community post to that storyline. If it does not have anything to do with the storyline or the post, community post, don't leave it there. Just leave it on a post that is pertaining to that subject. And as I state, I will not be communicating with anyone through the IG. I can no longer participate. So sorry for those of you who have used that avenue as a way to contact the Queen. But it's a new me, new day, and I can no longer participate in the foolishness. So as I said, I want to thank you all for following my content, following this network that I'm on, following my channel. And as I state, thank you for the wonderful support. The donations. God bless all of you. I really appreciate it. And those of you who've been loyal to the Queen and been genuine from day one, never folded, never got out of pocket, I want to thank you. I want to thank you. God bless all of you and have a beautiful, blessed week. This is Big Edge from the High 10. Everyday Shenanigans.